CPG, pricing makes a difference. So we have to ask the question, how does pricing actually work in CPG? Because if you price wrong, it can kill your business. But if you price too high, you can set the tone for no one buys. And if you set it too low, you can lose lots of money, like we said, for killing your business. So let's break down how pricing works in the CPG and give you some information to take forward for your business. Getting prices right is one of the biggest challenges for a lot of new brands and for a lot of people. Even I dealt with this. So you need to cover, costs, stay competitive, and still make a profit. All those things, all in one. So the question is, how do you do it? And step one would be, you got to understand your cost. Your cost of goods sold, which would be your COGS, raw materials, manufacturing, packaging, and then also labor. And then you also got to factor in other costs like shipping, warehouse, marketing, and also anything dealing with like retailer fees, So just always think, rule of thumb, your retail price should always be three to five times your COGS to stay profitable. So just always kind of remember those type of things. Number two would be retail and wholesale margins. If you sell direct to consumer, then you're good. You keep most of that margin, you keep most of that profit, so you're in a good place. If you're doing wholesale pricing, the retailers, you typically, they typically take 40 to 60% of the retail price. Distributors may take another, I don't know, depending on who we deal with, 10 to 20%. So you have to price accordingly on who you're dealing with and who you have as your business. Number three would be pricing and your competitor strategy with pricing. You got to research your competitors and make sure where your pricing is in the right area. So you have to ask yourself, are you a premium package? Are you a not premium package? Is your branding premium, or are you just charging a higher price for something that's not? So that's why you got to make sure when you come out the gate, how your product is, what your product does, and if you're using fine-tuned things to make your pricing, worth it. I think a lot of times we have to ask ourselves, because when you look at certain products, let's look at an example. Okay, so if you see Great Value, Great Value is not a high pricing brand. That's a lower level type of brand. So you're not expecting to pay $12, $15. It's going to be $2, $3, $1, stuff like that. But if you see a brand like Voss, you're expecting to, or Fiji, you're expecting to pay more because that's what they sit on. They're going to charge you $9 for a 10 ounce. They don't charge you more for a 12 pack or a 6-pack. But if you see a Great Value brand of water, it might be 24 waters for $124. But if you see a 24 pack of Voss or a 24 pack of Fiji water, you're going to pay at least $29 for those Fiji waters or those Vosses. And you just understand, because Fiji and Voss is a premium brand, and that Great Value is not a premium brand. And you can tell just by the layout, the branding, the marketing, and just by the craftsmanship of how it comes in it. The Great Value is going to be plastic thrown around. The Voss is going to be in a box, nice colors, nice words. Same thing with the Fiji, colorful pictures, all those type of things. And all those things make a difference when going towards pricing, packaging, marketing, color. All those things make a difference when it comes to, knowing your pricing margins, when it comes to knowing how much you're going to charge, and knowing if you're a premium product or you're not a premium product. And there's no problems if you're not a premium product, because I know a lot of people who are not a premium product that sell in volume, because they're like, hey, I get it for 20 cents, I sell it for $2. Boom. That's 100% markup. And then there's lots of people who get stuff in premium that sell a lot. They get it for $3 and they sell it for $40, $60. And they're making a killing because that $3 they get it's in a premium type of way, and they hit to a premium type of market. It's all about understanding your product, your messaging, and who you're looking to attack. If you have a skincare that's, going towards mothers, you might not charge a lot because it's going to mothers. So your price range might be between $30 to $40, But if you have a skincare and you're telling everybody you use the finest of this, delicate of that, you're going to be pricing to a higher market, because you're telling them finest of this, delicate of that, rare of this, bottles in this, packaging is like that. So your price point might be 60 all the way to 90 because you're telling them the things that you use are going to be the finest of the finest, and everybody's not going to have those. So it all depends on you as a person, as a CPG brand, understanding your price, understanding your COGS and all those things. And like we said before, if you're doing D2C, you keep all those margins. If you're dealing with a retailer, or usually a retailer, depending on who it is, they might want 40 to 60%. It depends on who the retailer that you're dealing with is. You know, when you're dealing with like people like Walmart that has ELP, everyday low prices, they're going to cut a lot of your margin because they're expecting the price point to be low. And that is the reason why a lot of brands, depending on if you're a premium product, they always go to Walmart last because they know that when they go to Walmart, they're going to be expecting a high percentage of a margin, and they're going to be expecting your price to go down low. Prime example, I remember seeing Liquid Death online kill it on Amazon, and then Liquid Death went to Whole Foods, they went to Target, and went everywhere else, and then the last spot was Walmart because they knew the price point that they would have to be at Walmart was going to have to be way lower because of their ELP. And because of that, people wait on Walmart last after they get themselves established everywhere else. And then when they do come to Walmart, they may only have so many certain SKUs due to that. But they all know the same thing. You have to get in Walmart at some point because it's a volume play. Walmart has so many stores, over like 4,400 type of stores, or 4,400 stores in the South and all over, that it's a volume play. You get in all those Walmarts, people go in there, they're able to buy the crazy stuff they buy in Walmart, guns, smokes, and buy your beverage all in one location. It makes it the type of location you have to be in the end at some point. So it's, it's a volume play. And we say all that to say, every retail is different. Some may want 40%, some may make 32%. With the price of inflation going up, it could go up even higher. Some may want higher, some may want lower. But I would say 40 to 60. I can't really see too many taking 60. I haven't, seen too many of them, but I have seen a lot of them take between 30 to 60. So let's just say 30 to 60. I've seen a lot take. But once again, you never know how it may be. Some may take a higher margin in return for, hey, if you're going to run a promo on this, you might not have to pay this, but I'll take this. I've seen that happen before, where for the next 6 months you're running a promo and the price gets lower because they're going to, have a price reduction, and then they're going to take more off your product due to that, things like that. So it all really depends. But at the end of the day, you got to know one thing. You got to know your numbers, because when you know your numbers, you know if you're winning, you know if you're losing. And you got to, like I said before, have things built into your numbers. Like we said before, you got to have that shipping. You got to have that warehouse. You got to have that labor. You got to have, if you're going to have stickers on your box, if your box is going to be all cute, you got to have those type of things instead of just using the plain cardboard boxes that you get from Uline. If your boxes are a little bit more delicate, a little bit more fancy, you got to have all those things built into your pricing so that when people pay, you have all those things paid in and you're good to go. Something I remember one of the guys at a convenience store I was selling at one time said when I was going into selling a product, and I was like, hey, our suggested MSRP, which is manufacturer suggested retail pricing, is $269, and he was like, no, I sell here for $339, and that was way high. And I was asking why, and he was like, well, $339. We're a small business. We gotta pay for the lights. We got to pay for the electricity over here. We got to pay for that. So essentially what he was saying was the reason that we suggested that the most to be $319 and he was selling it for $339 is because every product in his store needs to not only be paying for itself, but also be paying for something else in that store. And that's how you got to think about your numbers. Your numbers and your product doesn't need to just be selling for itself and getting a 3 to 5x return on it. It needs to be also be paying for that person that's packing it in the future. It could be you paying for those box colors, paying for those stickers, paying for that marketing that you're going to be using to sell it, and also paying for anything else that is needed. All that needs to be built into that price so that when you sell 1,000 of them, you're like, hey, we sold 1,000 of them and we've had packed all those things in at 4 times X. We're good. We have enough to buy inventory and have enough to market it and other stuff. So those are the type of things you have to think about when it comes to pricing your CPG product. So if you have any questions or concerns, write them in the comments below. And like always, don't forget to subscribe. And this has been another episode of CPG 101 with Eric. Thanks again.